Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of The Rundown. Brandon Worth, Blake Thomas joining you, your home for CSAA basketball coverage. And we have a lot to talk about here, Blake. Obviously, some games from Monday and Tuesday to recap. Some games, as we're recording this Wednesday night, are going on as we speak right now, but a lot of great games upcoming on Friday that we'll preview or review early in the week. And we'll just talk CSAA hoops. It's going to be a great week of basketball upcoming and a lot of tight games coming up Friday that could be standing deciders going in the month of February.
Absolutely. Really looking forward to the upcoming slate. This is the best time of the year. You get down to that crunch time, the end of the season where you want to be playing your best hoops leading into, March Madness.
Absolutely. Everybody loves crunch time, whether it's the candy bar or just the tensions of March
Right.
Madness. It goes hand in hand. But big thanks goes out to Bezos Digital, the primary sponsor of this show. Get all of your premium streaming, advertising, digital media, graphic design, the whole nine yards. Visit the experts at DezosDigital.com to get more information and know how to contact Dezos Digital to get your business in front of your target audience. Of course, Dezos Digital helping you navigate through the digital wilderness at DezosDigital.com. We'll get into the recap here. We'll start obviously on the CSAA Red boys side. We'll mention some white teams as well when we transition, but some games earlier on this week in boys hoops. Actually, there was one game Monday over on the CSAA white slate, Lakeview beating Holton. That's a nice bounce back win there for the Wildcats, trying to improve their record moving forward here in the season. A big win as well for Morley Stanwood, going to Baldwin. Tough place to play against a very good coach team. Shout out to Brandon Childress, one of my buddies at Ferris State, coaching that team. But that's a big win for Morley Stanwood. Right now, they're climbing up the white standings. Them and Central Montcalm, who also got a victory over Calvary Baptist. Those two teams right now, they are breathing down the neck of the Kent City Eagles, and they're scaring them probably a little bit here, Blake.
Absolutely. The Morley Stanwood's playing their best ball right now. Anytime you go on the road, play against a well-coached team by Coach Childress, also one of the best players ever played in this area. I got to play with him a couple times to see it firsthand. He's a fantastic player. He's giving that knowledge to his kids. But Coach Cummings has her team playing the best basketball that they've played so far. And you see that in their standings, in their record, where they are winning games more consistently now, and especially doing it against tough opponents on the road. I can't say enough good things about them. The CSAA White's really heating up. We thought early it might be just Kent City as a one horse race, and now you've got three teams going down the stretch, all competing for that title. And that's what you hope for. As you get into February, you have a shot to win the title, and that's all you can really ask for. So kudos to Coach Cummings leading this team to a couple of huge victories in the past week or so.
For sure. And Kent City getting a win over Wyoming Lee. That's a big win for the Eagles as well in non-conference action by 10. And then looking at the red side, Newaygo falling at home to Fruitport. A good Fruitport team there as well. Reed City traveling to Ithaca. Coyotes unfortunately suffering a loss. But it definitely feels like Coach Walsh's team, compared to what we were talking about a month ago, they're playing much better basketball. And their schedule could have them really prepared for a postseason push. So we're going to be watching the Coyotes especially. They might be near the bottom of the standings, but don't count out the Coyotes here late coming into February.
Yeah, they've played the Thorpe Apple Catalogs of the world, the St. John's of the world, some big schools. You go to a D3 powerhouse in Ithaca and only lose by 13. And Ithaca has been great all year. Coach Walsh is kind of taking a page out of Coach Izzo's book at Michigan State. We will play anybody, anywhere. We don't care who it is, because it's only going to make us better. And that's what he's doing. And you can see that, they go on the road, they beat Kent City, they go on the road and they beat Newaygo, especially after losing Newaygo the first time. They are getting better, as you obviously hope as a coach, you get better throughout the year. But they're turning the corner, and they're playing their best basketball right now down the stretch, exactly when you want to.
Absolutely. And Grant as well. Might not have been their best offensive night. Chip Hill's causing problems against opposing offenses, as they have done all year long. But Grant outs the Warriors 53-30. So I think that's a great performance for Chip Hills, considering the circumstances. I mean, that team's doing very well. Their defense is very, very good. Just finding that offensive firepower, shooting the basketball, that's really what's limiting them. But if they can find that, another team to talk about late going into March.
Yeah, Coach Darnell's done a great job, and they start 5 juniors. So there's a very high ceiling moving forward for them, and they do a great job defensively. They make life incredibly difficult. They hold Grant to 53, who's averaging 74 points a game, at least when they came into play Big Rapids. And then they're also, they hold Big Rapids to 49 last week. But it's the other piece. You play defense, you got to find a way to put the ball in the hole as well. And that's just kind of where they're struggling a little bit. But give props to Coach Darnell doing a great job turning that program around.
For sure. And right now, looking at the standings, we'll start on the CSAA Red. Grant at the top, unblemished so far, 6-0. Big Rapids right behind at 5-1. Newaygo 3-3. There are the Warriors right behind at 2-4. Reed City and Tri-County both 1-5 apiece. Obviously, with their schedules, trying to get some wins together down the stretch. But it's going to be very interesting to see. Obviously, right now, we thought Grant might be untouchable going after the Big Rapids game. Tri-County gives them a scare. Chip Hills holds them, so you never know. Then again, Big Rapids also losing to St. Francis, a team they know they could have beat earlier this week. Not their best performance in a tough gym to play in, but they're going to be looking to bounce back, especially this Friday night at Tri-County.
The St. Francis gave a really well-coached, disciplined team. Gave them problems scoring the ball. And then, just a very small, 4 or 5 minute stretch in the third quarter where they really stretched out their lead and got on in transition. And give Big Rapids props, down 21 at one point in the second half and only lose by 4. And had a chance, to get back into that game and send it to overtime late. So you just want to see that for a full 32 minutes, that frantic pace, being aggressive, attacking the basket. Are things that you want to see Big Rapids doing moving forward. And, you play Tri-County on Friday, a team that you dismantled early in the season. And you got to hope that you can right the ship because you've got a whale of a week next week with Whitehall, state-ranked Whitehall, and then a rivalry game against Reed City. So you got to hope that, Friday's a get-right game. Again, a difficult place to play and a little quirky with the stage behind one basket, a beautiful Viking mural behind the other one. So, a quirky place to play, and it's always rocking on a Friday night. But hopefully this is a time where the Cardinals can get right moving into, arguably their toughest game of the season, welcoming the Whitehall Vikings next Tuesday.
Should be a great weekend of basketball leading into next week as well. Looking at the White, we kind of alluded to this earlier. Kent City at the top, 4-1, but the Eagles have dropped a couple games last week, and now it appears Central Montcalm as well as there's Morley Stanwood, right? Those guys, you look at those teams, right? Evan Ralston leading the Hornets, Devin Garbo leading the Mohawks. I mean, those are teams that are just right there, only a couple games back. And White Cloud, despite being an above 500 team, just haven't got it together in the conference games yet. That's a team that could heat up down the stretch potentially, but especially with them and Lakeview have played good basketball this year, just not consistently in conference play.
Yeah, White Cloud is as good as Jaden Robinson, as well as he plays as well as they're going to play. They graduated 4 starters from last year's team, a very, very high level, good basketball team. And they're still kind of figured out. You're starting a freshman point guard. And is it Brady Straight, who's got a ton of potential, is going to be a problem for the next 3 years, but still he's a freshman playing point guard, which is very, very difficult to do at the varsity level as a freshman. And then you've got, Kent City, who is 4-1, but seems like they're stumbling as they're moving forward. And you've got Morley, who's playing their best basketball right now. And then you've got Central with Evan Ralston, like you said, who can score it from anywhere. Arguably the best scorer we've seen outside of maybe a couple of Big Rapids players all year. He filled it up from everywhere when he was in Cardinal Arena. So, you've got a player that can go off at any minute like that. And anytime you play a team a second time, it becomes more difficult to beat them. So, that race is wide open with Morley being a game back, Central being a game back. And Kent City's the hunted, and I would not be surprised if they lose another one too. Either Morley or Central Montcalm moving forward.
Absolutely. We'll flip over to the girls' side, but first, quick PSA. If you want to be a part of the rundown as a sponsor, call 796-7000, and you can be a part of a local sports coverage. Once again, 796-7000. But, Blake, we'll flip into the girls' side. Some scores from earlier on in the week. Morley Stanwood, they get their get back against Mio in dominant fashion as well. Chip Hills, dismantled a little bit by the Pioneers of Clare, a very good team. White Cloud with a big win. They used the offense against Blanchard Montebello. White Cloud, when you look at the numbers, right, overall, go to MHSA.com, look at previous games. They hold teams to a fairly low margin there on the girls' side. But this scoring is really what they're missing. So if they can figure that out, very similar to what we've talked about some of these teams earlier on in the show. They could really make some noise too because they're really not out of it, right, in the white division, despite necessarily only having 4 wins on the season. I mean, they're right in the meat in the sandwich. They are in the thick of it fighting for position.
The defense always travels. If you can defend, you're going to be in ball games. They lose to Big Rapids by 20, but hold them to 35 points. If you can hold Big Rapids to 35 points, you're doing a good job because our girls team here has got a ton of firepower. And they're young. You talk about a high ceiling. That's as good a group as you're going to get as freshmen and sophomore. So they hold Big Rapids to 35. So if you can defend, you're always going to have a chance to win games. It's just that other piece you gotta. If you're going to defend like that and hold teams in the 30s, every single possession is at a premium. You've got to find a way to convert on the offensive end. If they can sort that out with that defense, the way that they play it, yeah, they can definitely make some noise and pull off some upsets going down the stretch.
Speaking of the Cardinals, falling on the road to a good Mount Pleasant team, Coach Heist's team looks to bounce back. Obviously, that's a really tough Mount Pleasant team,
Yes.
right? Especially going up a division, playing against a bigger school, a lot of athletes there. But a really good fight, especially on the road. I'm sure they will bounce back from this sooner than later. Newaygo getting a win on the road at Ravenna. That's a little bit of maybe you could call it a regional rivalry, not a close rivalry like M37 coming up on Friday, but still a little bit, right? Towns not too far away from each other that have played each other in non-conference quite a bit. Morley Stanwood going to Fremont. I mean, the Packers put up 80 points. It's hard to beat a team, especially in girls basketball. No disrespect to the offense in girls hoops, but it's a slower pace of game. So that's an impressive mark from Fremont to put up 80 against a really good Mohawk team.
I read the paper today, and Coach Raven said, they're one of the premier teams in the state, and point in case right there, they're dropping 80 points on a very well coached, good Morley Stanwood team, which shows that they're in the Big Rapids girls district. That could be a really really fun matchup if we get to see it later on while the district is at Fremont. But Morley Stanwood, a perennial power, always a great basketball club. For as long as I've known where Morley Stanwood is in the girls program. But to play Fremont the way they did, they were winning at halftime. Just kind of ran out of gas in the third quarter, according to Coach Raven. So it shows that they are good enough to play with one of the most premier teams in the state in Division II, which is a division higher than they are. It just shows how good they are, and it shows that they have weapons everywhere. And look for them and Kent City to continue battling for the CSAA white.
Absolutely. And then Central Montcalm getting a win over Calvary Baptist as well, 49-37. Grant picks up a win against Chip Hills. Grant right now has won 5 out of 6. Stumbled to start the year, but man, Coach Delameter, that crew, they've got it figured out right now. They're playing some good ball. And then Holton taking down Lakeview at Lakeview. That's a big win for the Red Devils. But that gets us into the standings. Right now, we'll look at the red. Right now, Big Rapids at the top. Cardinal fans clapping their hands, saying, you know what? Non-conference loss? Oh, well, we're still at the top of the conference, controlling our destiny there. Newaygo right behind. They've done a good job taking care of business in other games as well. Newaygo, a team that we thought maybe after that Big Rapids game would lose a little wind out of their sail. They're still right there. And then Grant right there at 4-2, 7-6, keeping in mind that they've won, right, though 5 out of the last 6 games. So that's very impressive to go for them. And then Reed City, Tri-County, and Chip Hills bringing it up the rear and looking to fight the rest of the way. But that's going to be very interesting, right? Big Rapids at the top. But they're the hunted. Those other 2 teams down M37, they're chomping at the bit. And if Big Rapids stumbles, you got to imagine they're putting their first foot forward to try to get it and tie it up.
It's a huge game on Friday because if Newaygo loses to Grant, then Big Rapids will have a 2-game lead coming out of that if they take care of business against Tri-County. But if Newaygo finds a way to win that one, and then you're playing for a share of the title potentially when we travel to Newaygo later on in the season. So a huge one on M37 down there this Friday. But Grant's girls beating Big Rapids at halftime at their place this year, playing very very well, well coached. They're peaking at the right time.
Absolutely. And it's crazy to think. I know that the Tigers and Lions fans tuning in after this week might be rooting for the other later in the year to beat Big Rapids. I mean, that's like a Big Rapids team rooting for Reed City and vice versa. I mean, that's hard feeling. So no jealousy there, and cannot stress the big game on Friday. Looking at the white division as well, Kent City, Morley, Stanwood still duking it out right now. Kent City 5-0, but don't forget, we've only seen those teams play once. Still going to have another go around later in the year. That's going to be for the conference crown as of now, unless either team stumbles. White Cloud, Lakeview, as well as Central Montcalm bringing it up the rear. Both those teams with modest records in non-conference, just trying to figure it out in conference. But Kent City, Morley, Stanwood, I mean, those are the two teams to watch. And boy, it's going to be great to see when they play each other again. We'll see if Morley Stanwood has an answer to try to take down Kent City at their place this coming round.
Yeah, it's tough to go on the road and win. It doesn't matter if college hoops, pro hoops, high school hoops. It's tough to go on the road and win. Morley put up a really good fight at Kent City. Fell a little short. I think it was 7 points. Kent City gets to come back and travel up to Morley. And all bets are off. A really fun gym to play, and I've always enjoyed that gym. And Morley's a good ball club. And you have to expect, Bob Raven, state championship winning coach. He's going to have some wrinkles ready for them the second time that Kent City's probably hasn't seen. So hard to beat a good team twice. Really look forward to see the outcome of that one.
Absolutely. Before we get into the games to preview on Friday, got a special shout out to Big Rapids Cardinal Hockey for a big upset. I know, Blake, that you were over there at Inglegleben. I mean, that's a massive win for them and deserving of a little shout out here on the show.
Yeah, that we kudos to Dawn Thompson, our athletic director, and the athletic leadership committee put in the nod where we were able to get a majority of the high school students over to cheer on our team. They jump out to a 3-goal lead. Seth Purdue, Aiden Smith gets 2 in the first period there, and Dow scores 1 in the second. We go 3-1 going into the third, and then Wyatt Welch gets the sealing goal to put them up 4-1. And Midland Dow's ranked in the top 10 in the state in Division III. And our Cardinals are playing some of their best hockey like they always do under Coach Blatchel towards the end of the season, and especially to go and beat a team that's ranked in the top 10 in the state and beat them the way they did, 4-1. Outstanding job by the guys. Really enjoyed watching them play. Kudos to them. Happy for them. That's a big win.
Cardinal fans liking what the winner is presenting right now in sports going into the postseason for sure. Games to look out for Friday on the 31st. There is one game happening actually right now as we are recording this episode on the boys' side of hoops. Lakeview and Tri-County squaring off in Lakeview. That score will be reported. Big games Friday. We mentioned the M37 rivalry. That's probably the number one game on everybody's radars, right? A rivalry game. M37, Grant Newaygo. We mentioned the girls' side, how important that game is. On the boys' side as well, I mean, Grant dismantled Newaygo at their place, right? Can Newaygo get their get back and make a statement? That should be a fun game. And it's a rivalry night, right? No matter where it is, people are tuning in because those two towns, they are very competitive when it comes to the rivalry of M37.
Newaygo's a tough place to play. You have the end zone and just one side, and it's only Newaygo students. That's their student section. A tough place to play, and Newaygo always plays better at home. So all bets are off. It doesn't matter, in a rivalry game, if you're undefeated or if you haven't won a game. When you show up and play against them, there's that severe dislike, and they're going to play harder because of it. And, look for Coach Long to have from Newaygo to have some wrinkles, to have some new things added in. And I think Newaygo's come a long way from getting beat by 40 earlier in the year by Grant, and Grant has kind of plateaued here. They've lost 2 games since beating Big Rapids. Really struggled at Tri-County last Friday, where it was a struggle enough where we were checking on our phones pretty regularly. Down at halftime, end up winning by 20, but still that struggle in the first half is something to watch. And Newaygo is a decent ball club, capable of beating most teams on any given night. So again, a rivalry game, tough place to play. It's going to be a packed house. You just never know. So yeah, it means a ton because Grant's got to keep winning those games to set up to win the league outright against Big Rapids. If Newaygo wins, then all of a sudden you could be playing for a solo title on February 21st here in Cardinal Arena.
Boy, wouldn't that be something? Big Rapids going to Tri-County. Cardinals favored in both of those matchups, as well as Central Montcalm traveling to Lakeview. Probably favored a little bit, but the Lakeview girls team will be one to watch. We'll see how they can defend their home floor. White Cloud going to Morley Stanwood. as much as we would probably project going into on the boys' side right now, the Indians look like they are the underdogs, so to speak, going into a very hot Morley Stanwood team on their home floor. And then Chip Hills will be hosting Reed City. We'll see how the Coyotes can see if they can string them together after the non-conference loss here early on and get back to work. So we'll wait and see on those games. Obviously, outside of M37, Blake, what's that one matchup you were thinking might be a little bit closer than people might think?
No, I think White Cloud and Morley could be a little bit closer. Just I really like Jaden Robinson. He does a lot of really nice things, and he's capable of going off at any moment. Capable of, if he puts together a point where he drops 25, 30 points in a game, they have enough pieces around them where they could, be in the ball game and potentially upset Morley. On the flip side, Morley's got a bunch of weapons as well, well coached, and they're playing very, very well. But I think that would be that one could be a good one to watch. Could be a close ball game, and then of course I'm looking forward to the Big Rapids game to watch the guys and the girls play. In a tough place to play at Tri-County.
Absolutely, that mural is distracting. Can confirm. It's a beautiful mural, but too beautiful to play in a basketball game when you're the actual player. I'll definitely be keeping on my eye on Lakeview. Central Malcolm's a good team, both sides looking for momentum to go in. But we said that about White Cloud when they went to their place. And on the boys' side, we know what happened. So is that a trap game? We'll just have to wait and see. But thank you so much, guys, for tuning into the Rundown. Blake, thanks again for joining me. And we can't wait to call some hoops here. Friday night's going to be great. Next week might be even better, arguably, for the slate we have there. And it's just going to be a great rest of the stretch here for high school hoops.
Yeah, can't wait. I'm really, really looking forward to watching Whitehall play. After last year, a tough one at Whitehall. They have Cam Thompson, who is going to Western to play both football and basketball. If you're doing that at the Division I level, you are some type of athlete, to say the least. And there's nothing better. Again, one of the best kept secrets in the rivalries between Reed City and Big Rapids. It's always fun to watch those games played. Reed City's had a lot of success at Cardinal Arena in years past. It seems like whenever they pull off a win against Big Rapids, it's at Cardinal Arena, except for last year was the first time that Big Rapids had lost in the Den in, I think, since 2012.
Yeah.
So, a really, really big game, really big week for the Cardinals, but they got to take care of business on Friday first.
Absolutely. Hope you guys enjoy it. We love hoops as much as you. I mean, Blake's a teacher and he's got hoops in his classroom. That's how much we love hoops here on the show. Be sure to subscribe and we'll see you guys next time.